We're going to do a quiz on Java ArrayLists. We have 7 questions in total. The first one goes like this. What will the following code print? Okay, let's have a look at the code. So on the first line, we import the package called ArrayList by using the keyword import, and then we type in java.util.ArrayList. So we have imported this package ArrayList. Then we have a class. We've seen this one before. So we have a class called temperatures. We have the main method, and inside the main method we're creating a variable that is gonna be an array list and is gonna store values of type or elements of type integer. And then we go on an equal sign, new array list, and then inside angle brackets we put the integer, so written like this with capital I and the full name, the full word, okay? And like I said before, this is a wrapper class about which we're gonna learn probably in the next lectures. And we end it with a parentheses and a semicolon, of course. So we have this variable that's gonna hold some values. What values? Well, we will see. On the next line, inside this variable, we're adding value 78 by using the .add method. Okay, we've seen it in the previous lesson. The .add method adds an element to the end of the array. So first adds 78, and then on the next one adds 67, and then on the next one adds 89, on the next one adds 94. And then it says, on this line it says print system.out.println temperatures. So go inside our temperatures variable and use this method, so the .get method, and it gives it 2. If you remember, this .get method needs as an argument here a value that represents an index. Okay, so if we remember from the previous lessons in where we talked about arrays, and including this lesson where we talked about array lists, we know that indexes start at 0. So we have 0, 1, 2. Therefore, the result that this line of code is going to print is going to be 89. Okay. Okay, it's index at number, is the value at index 2. Let's continue. Fill in the code to print out how many elements are stored in the grades array list. Again, we see at the top we are importing this package, import java.util.ArrayList. Then we have a temperatures C class. Okay, we have the main method, and inside the main method we are creating a variable that is going to be an array list, and it stores elements of type char. So we've seen this one before as well. We're using the new keyword array list, and then the data type put inside angle brackets, then parentheses ended with a semicolon, and then we say in this variable add this value, in this variable add this value. So again, is making use of the .add method that we've seen before. Okay, now it says fill in the code to print out how many elements are stored in the grades array list. Let's try and remember what was the method that we could invoke on our variable, so that we're going to get the number of elements that are stored inside this variable. Okay, so the name of the method would be size. So in order to get the size, we would have to get the name of the variable, and then onto this variable we're calling the .size method. Okay, let's see if this is okay. We got it. Okay, so the .size is going to give us the number of elements that are stored inside whatever object or variable we're calling this method on. Okay, when we're talking, of course, about array lists. what does the following code print? So again, on the first line, we have the import keyword, and then we're importing the ArrayList package. We have a class called rating machine. Inside this class, we have the main method. On this line, we're creating a variable that is an array list, and this array list is gonna store elements of type double. We're using the new keyword, followed by ArrayList, and then in angle brackets we're going to put the type of the elements that we're going to store inside here, and then we end it with parentheses and a semicolon. On these next 4 lines, we go inside this rating variable, and we're using the .add method, which adds elements inside of this variable. Okay, now on this line it says go inside ratings and get me the value that is at index 1. Okay, as we know, indexes start at 0, so we have index at 0, index at 1. Okay, since this is the index that we're interested in, it means that this line of code, so the system.out.println ratings.get1, would print out the 2.5. Okay, because it's 2.5 the value that resides at index number 1 in ratings. Okay, so let's look for 2.5. Whoops. Okay, well, of course, because see, I haven't paid enough attention. If we see, it's not all of the methods that are called are add. The last one is actually remove 1, so it removed it removed the index 1, it removed the index at value 1. Therefore, in our case, once we run this, at this point our ratings element will have only 2, our ratings variable will have only 2 elements, which would be 2.5 and 3.5. And since we're interested in element at index 1, in our case, this is going to be index 0, and this is going to be index 1. And of course, it will be 3.5. Continue. So question 4 out of 7. What method can you use to find the position of a specific element in an array list? So what method can you use to find the position of a specific element in an array list? So in our case, it would be, I believe, index of. So you would give it the position of, well, you would pass to this method, you would pass it the value, and then instead you will get back, this method will return the index of a specific position, okay, of that specific value, I should say. So what method can you use to find the position of a specific element in an array list? It would be index of. So when you pass an element into index of, so a value, it will return the position of that element in the array list. When it says element, it refers to the actual value inside, okay? Question number 5. Fill in the blank to declare the array list to hold the correct type. Okay, so we're importing the package ArrayList. We have a class called gradebook. We have the main method here, and it says ArrayList, and we have to find the correct answer for this one, and is the name of that variable is going to be Quizz grades. Okay, we see that we want to add the values 96, 87, 46. These are integers, okay? Therefore, we need to choose this one. Okay, so we've seen this one before. You have the name of the variable. You have, it's going to be an array list, and then in angle brackets, you're going to add the type of the elements that this variable is going to store. But the type is going to be the wrapper class of that type, okay? Which in our case is going to be integer. Question number 6. What will the array list kids movies hold after the code is run? Let's have a look at the code. We are importing the package on the first line, so the package ArrayList. We have a class called rankings. We have the main method. Then we have a variable called kids movies that is going to be an array list of strings, okay? And then here is creating the actual object. So it's using the keyword new, followed by array list, and then in angle brackets is going to put the data type, the type of those elements that are going to be stored inside kids movies, and then followed by parentheses and semicolon. Then we go into kids movies and we add this element. Go again inside kids movies and add this element. Go inside kids movies and add this element as well. Now at this point, so at the end of this line here, we would have kids movies, which is going to have 3 elements: Moana, Up, and Wall-E. Okay, so far so good. Now on the next line it says go into kids movies and set at index 0 the value of Babe. Okay, and our question is, what are the elements of kids movies once we've run this one? Okay, so the elements, we know that now instead of Moana we have Babe. Okay, so it would be Babe, Up, Wall-E. Okay, Babe, Up, Wall-E. So I would say it would be this one, because Babe replaces the value that was at position 0 of the array list. On this line we set at index 0 this value, okay, and therefore it replaces what we added here. Question number 7, what will the ArrayList usernames hold after this code runs? Okay, we've seen this one so far. We are importing the package ArrayList. We have a class called login. We have the main method. Inside the main method we're creating a variable that is an array list of strings. And the same here, we're using the new keyword. So we're using the new keyword, array list, and angle brackets. We're putting the type of the elements that this variable is going to store, and then we end it with parentheses and a semicolon. Now on this line it says go into usernames and add this value. Okay, then go into usernames and add this value. So what will the ArrayList usernames hold after this code runs? Well, it's going to hold these 2 values, Terracoder and Javanite. Okay, let's have a look for any errors. So we have string. Okay, so it will be Terracoder and Javanite in this order. Okay, it will be the first one. This one, for example, still has the same values, but the ordering is incorrect because we're first adding Terracoder and not Javanite. Okay, so had you put this one, it could have easily make you think that it could as well be this one, but it's not, because the order in which these elements are added must coincide with our answer, which is this one in this case, Terracoder and Javanite. Continue, and we scored 85%, which is still okay, but this only proves that we have to read really carefully all the questions and not to just skim through them and just read them really quickly. We have to really make sure that we understand what the question is actually expecting of us.